Hi guys, welcome back to a new video. In this video we're going to be looking at the assault jerkin, or the battle jerkin I should say, and its sort of lightweight chest rig counterpart. These were used by assault troops, in most notably on D-Day, etc., but also used to a small extent in the later part of the North African campaign and specifically Italy as well. I've only got two examples, or an example of each here, more sort of akin to the Northwest Europe campaign. So we'll have a look at those and we'll get on with the video. So here we have the so-called battle jerkin. So it's a full sort of jacket construction with almost like a soft felt cotton liner. Well, top and bottom anyway, parts to the bottom part, softer material. Outer more like a cotton gabardine kind of material. Probably be corrected on that. Absolutely fine. but durable material. Basically, this is designed for troops to have an off and on jacket kind of setup, which can hold all their equipment, which will sort of replace, in a way, the 37 pattern standard infantry equipment. Excuse me. Excuse me again. So it's very well thought out and very well designed, but it had its drawbacks as well. It was very restrictive. It was a bit cumbersome in a way. Most guys, after using this for maybe the first day or the first few days on, say, D-Day, etc., would have got rid of it because it would have got sodden, soaked, and it was very much heavy. With the 37 pattern equipment, you could sort of disassemble it, leave stuff to dry if you could. It was one piece, all cotton, which meant it soaked up the water and kept hold of it for a long time. Unlike, say, wool or even webbing, it kind of soaked up a bit more. Webbing does soak it up, but when you blanket it, it sort of waterproofs it kind of. Unlike this, if it gets wet, it stays wet for a long time, and that's an extra several pounds or whatever on your already loaded equipment. So we get onto the details of it itself. So see, it's a large size. Just show you the inner. We have almost like a poacher's pocket at the back, which is for like your soft kit, so it'll make it more comfortable on the wearer. If you've got your soft kit in here, it gives that nice sort of support to the lower back, so you haven't got all the weight of all the kit pushing into your lower spine, etc. So it's very well designed. These little loops here, obviously to give ventilation, etc. It was well thought out, but like all these things, there's always problems when it's actually in the field. I'll just close this up. So we see from the front, we have two large main pockets on the front. Obviously, banana shaped to accompany the brown magazines. Obviously, the standard 37 pattern pouches would be carrying roughly 2 magazines for the Bren per man, etc. Here we can see we can carry several more. These are quite deep. And because they're cotton, they're much more flexible than, say, the thicker webbing. So these are very, as I said, well, webbing is cotton anyway, but this is much more thinner, so it's much more flexible. So you can get around maybe 2 to 3 magazines in here at a time. So around about 6 magazines, etc. But one could be for magazines, the other one could be for bandoliers, for your rifle, or stem magazines, depending, or Thompson magazines, or whatever, or Mills bombs. All these sort of things can be put in those pockets. They're very well thought out, but obviously the shape is much more custom for the Bren itself. So that's them. Obviously these loops, etc., for tying on more equipment and securing and tightening up. It's all done by toggle systems. Other examples do have just standard like webbing straps like these to tighten it all up or to secure each of the pockets. But this one is reproduction, generally because I don't have about £1,000 or more spare to buy an original. I would love an original, and if anyone wants to gift me one, please. No, that'd be way too much to ask. So yeah, so it's a nicely designed thing, and it is comfortable to an extent. But when you've got it all loaded, it does sort of rub and wear on certain parts, which like most equipment does. So as I said, these webbing straps are used to secure it to the upper chest. So like here. There we go, get it right into position. So these webbing straps go across to secure it to the chest, keep it tight. And then you have the lower ones, almost like this style of the belts you see on, say, like bush jackets, and that. It's similar sort of that, really, sort of to pin it around the bottom, or even like the battle dress actually as well. We have a webbing bit of webbing strip here to attach a holster. This one has torn away a bit. I do have to re-sew that eventually at one point, but that's basically what it's for. It's for attaching a holster or similar things, maybe like a compass pouch or something. That's really what you can see really on the front. And this time I'll just spin it around to the side a bit. So we just pull this over. As you can see, a more better profile of the pouch in the front. We also have a loop here, which then sort of things down across to here, as you can see. So this loop would be for your 1907 pattern bayonet. So the long sword bayonet type. So before, like, the number 4 was being introduced or being issued fully amongst main troops. So when this saw service in the later parts of North Africa and also in Italy, 1907 was the mainstay bayonet of the British Army still at that point. So that was the loops for that. But it also accustomed in later models, and also in actually most models actually, for the number 4 bayonet as well, which is for here. So the number 4 bayonet, the spike bayonet, will go in this little slot here, and loops here on the side of one of the pouches on the side. So the pouch on the side had a multitude of uses. There's a slightly smaller one on one side, and this one's slightly larger. Could be for the water bottle, or the mess tins, or grenades, or anything really you could fit into those pockets. Anything. It had a multitude of uses. So very, very utilitarian, which is really, really good. Turn it over to the back now. Let's open it up, actually. There we go. Here we go. So we have, I said about the patch on the side, we have this little rear patch at the bottom, which is for your entrenching tool. So your entrenching tool head would go in this little pocket here. This is just sort of for all of the reproduction. It sags too much away from the body. I think these loops are a bit too long. I might have to unsew them and then re-sew them a tad higher so it doesn't just sag too much away from the body. Because when you've got a big lump of metal in there, it just literally just hangs very, very low, and it's a bit inconvenient. So I might bring that a bit higher, or just like fold these up maybe and sew them. But that's something for another time. I've had this for a while now. Then we have basically the haversack, the integral haversack of the equipment. So large pack basically, which will basically carry all your equipment that you would be carrying in your haversack, minus the small kit obviously, because there's that pocket at the back I showed for the small kit, so you can probably get a bit more in here. So it allows you to carry a lot more equipment than you would normally be able to. And also on the sides of this haversack I should say, sorry, it was a bit close to the camera, you also have these little slot loops on the side. So one here and then one here. So the one on this side is for your entrenching tool helve, so basically the stick that goes with the entrenching tool, and then the one on the other side could either be used for several different things. So the 2-inch mortar could slot down the side here, which will be very, very handy in those sort of situations. You carry a couple of mortar bombs, etc., in your main haversack, or on other equipment, or wherever you would, or maybe even in the main pouch at the front. Excuse me. So you carry the 2-inch mortar. You could also carry a machete, which should be useful for cutting down foliage or whatever to get a firing position. Say if you're the number 2 on a brain gun, or if you are the brain gunner, etc. Could be useful for that, or anything else that might be seen as useful for a certain operation. But mainly either the 2-inch mortar or the machete could be something there. And as I said, main kit, etc., rations, mess tins, all that sort of your cleaning kit, etc., your wash roll would all go in here, as well as anything else you could probably fit in there. And as I said about this side, there's also a similar one on this side of the pouches. This one's slightly smaller, so this one's probably used for maybe the water bottle, and that one's more used for things like grenades or even the mess tins as well. But again, it's basically use as used really. But there was a sort of set out plan. I will try and get a picture and post it in the for the video at the end of the setup of this and what the advise things were to be put in these pockets. But I'll post that on the end. But yeah, so that's basically the setup for the so-called battle jerkin. Other equipment would be used sometimes with it. I've seen guys with 37 pattern belts looped through here, and then looped round and coming through the sides here to carry other equipment. Obviously, you'll have your respirator, which will be carried on its own separate, in its own separate bag, and also other things may be carried at the same time. Sometimes guys wouldn't even use this pack. That would just be not used at all, and they'll be carrying a, especially things sort of special service brigade, and obviously other commando units, possibly using the Bergen instead of the haversack. But that's mainly the battle jerkin. So now we'll get onto the assault jerkin, basically. Okay, now we have the assault jerkin. Now this is very stripped down and very lightweight and very commando-esque, to say the least. Which is basically who his primary users were. So there's a few pictures of members of the 1st Special Service Brigade and other commando units using these alongside their main equipment. So they'll be carrying 37 pattern equipment, but also have this on top to carry extra Bren mags and also other things that extent. So with this one, you could carry, some, as I said, some of the equipment. You could carry a Bergen much more comfortably, wouldn't be riding with all that sort of stuff, and it'd be very, very useful. And there's not really much to talk about. It's basically a similar setup to what the other one is in the way of the main equipment. So we have the two Bren pouches. These ones, obviously, I think are slightly different, larger than the other ones, and from what I could tell, but it's just probably just the manufacture of the reproduction. But very nicely done. They've used a different cord on this. They use whipcord string rather than sort of white rope kind of, which I actually sort of prefer. It looks a bit more alley, to say the least. Smaller fastener at the chest, which I might replace at some point, and similar thing at the waist as well. And then also you have a bayonet point as well for your number 4, or even maybe the longer 1907, but probably the number 4 at this point. But yeah, that's basically it. There's not really much on this one. I'll just switch it over to the side, open it up. There's not really much to see on this one. Get this untangled and don't look like a mong. There we go. Then again, that's not difficult. So yeah, that's basically just opened out. And similar construction on the inside. I'll just swing this over. But basically, the only place which has that lot of light, soft cotton is here. So it's just on the top here, just sort of the main pressure point, probably at the top of the spine. And it's actually really, really comfortable. You don't feel it, even with the Bren in practice full with Bren mags or other equipment, maybe 2-inch mortar bombs or 36 mils grenades and all that sort of stuff. It doesn't really feel that much because it's nicely distributed with the yoke and everything. It's really, really comfortable. It's a lot more comfortable than the battle jerkin. I can definitely say that. I've carried the battle jerkin in full kit, fully loaded, whilst carrying a Bren gun, and it was it took a lot because of its design, because it doesn't breathe very well. It keeps a lot of the heat in. So if say you've get off a landing craft, you're soaked, you're then heating up, and you can't dry off, which is you stay damp, but you're getting very, very hot and exhausted. You then go down with heat stroke, especially with the hot summer of 1944 later on in the campaign. That sort of equipment would not be very good. Bear in mind, you're wearing wool as well. You're wearing wool battle dress. Underneath that, you're wearing a wool collarless shirt. Under that, you're probably wearing other wool or maybe cotton undergarments. So it doesn't bode very, very well. Wool generally will keep you waterproof and will dry very quickly. Cotton doesn't. And when it's stuff that you can't be treated like this, unlike, say, your webbing, which could be blanco to keep it waterproof, this is a bit different. But this is why this is actually quite a good design. It's very light. It's got a lot more area to breathe. You have these massive armholes and a very, only literally just a belt waistline and just covering these over your chest, and that's really it. This is a much more effective piece of equipment and probably much more widely used than the battle jerkin, I would say. I might be wrong, please correct me if I am, but that's basically it. So I really hope you enjoyed that. Again, I'll post a couple of videos, sorry, I put a couple of photos, I'm afraid. Misspoke there. A couple of photos of this equipment on, say, the mannequin. I would normally put it on the mannequin in these videos, but they're currently being used for other projects, so don't really have access to them at the moment. I'll go post a couple of pictures of the equipment layouts and what was sort of said to be carried in these by the manuals, etc. So, but I really hope you enjoyed, guys. So we'll cut to the last bit. So I really hope you enjoyed that. Again, sorry for the sort of shakiness of the camera. I'm trying to do this sort of on the bed at the moment, so it's a bit difficult. And as I said, I didn't have access to the mannequins at this point due to them being used for other projects. But again, I really hope you enjoyed. I hope this was informative. I'll post the pictures at the end of this video, so you can have a quick look at them if you want to pause, etc. If you want to get better quality pictures of it, just give me a message over my Facebook or through the YouTube channel, and I can send you the pictures your way if you like. Also, whatever information I have on them as well. So again, really hope you enjoyed. I hope to see you in the next video, and goodbye.